All right, so next up we have another friend of the channel, Antonio
Antonio.
Brown. Antonio Brown is definitely in the pantheon with Lizzo and Aries Spears, Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, uh, Diamond, the 2,000, 10,000 bodies,
This is
Lori Harvey, friends of the channel, and AB is a friend of the channel. So we like talking about AB antics because oftentimes AB antics can lead to greater observations about, you know, what's going on out here in these streets. So AB's Snapchat has
Uh-oh.
been suspended because of his sexually explicit activity. Anyone who knows AB or has at least followed what he's been doing from a distance knows that he does not give a damn. Um, there are many people who are speculating as to what's going on. They talk about whether it's a mental health thing. Who knows? But what we can determine is that he doesn't give a damn, and he'll post whatever, whenever, because he just doesn't care. So AB Snapchat has been suspended because he put out a sexually explicit photo with him and the mother of his kids. And of course, she doesn't approve. There's a big issue with this, but Antonio Brown just doesn't care. So the original story started here, where it says Antonio Brown went too far on social media again. The controversial former NFL superstar just shared a sexually explicit private picture on his Snapchat with the mother of his children. The post, which has since been deleted from AB's profile, showed the woman performing oral sex on the Super Bowl champ in bed. The picture quickly circulated on other social media platforms early Tuesday morning. It's unclear when the image was taken, but we're assuming it isn't recent. Things have gotten ugly between the two sides, with Chris is the baby mama's name, claiming AB sent explicit videos to their son. And now this is her claim, but she alleges that AB sent sexually explicit videos to their son during an alleged domestic violent incident back in November. AB has become notorious for his snap updates recently, as we previously reported. He shared a poorly photoshopped pic of Tom Brady's ex, Giselle Bundchen, editing her face onto a nude body. Uh, so AB is wild. And there was an update to this story. A Snap spokesperson tells TMZ Sports Antonio Brown's account has been suspended and the incident is under investigation. The platform points out it has strict community guidelines that, quote, prohibit sexually explicit content and bullying or harassment. Chelsea Chris, the mother of AB's children, just released a statement on the situation saying she's, quote, very well aware of the post. Chelsea says she has repeatedly asked Brown to keep the private parts of their former relationship out of the public eye, but he has refused. So, more evidence of how AB wilding out. Snapchat, he just doesn't care. He puts everything out there. So, I don't know. We talked about AB before with the whole Giselle Bundchen thing. AB posted a pic on Instagram, I think it was, of him and Giselle Bundchen hugging after they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. And he posted that while her and Tom Brady were going through a divorce. So just in poor taste. But another AB antic, this one involving his own family. So I don't know. Initially, do you make anything of AB's latest stream of consciousness?
If you want to call it that, right? Or the lack thereof, right?
Right.
He's really behaving like an NPC at this point, and he's just doing mechanical stuff. He's not even thinking anymore, as if he ever did. We're starting to get to the point to where it's like, did he ever, did he ever use his brain in the sense where he ever used, actual critical thought and created boundaries for himself? And I don't think he does that. I think he just reacts. And people who just react to everything are very dangerous people. They do anything. I'm surprised this guy's out of jail. We didn't cover the standoff he had with police,
Right.
But
Yeah.
he had a standoff with police. Not too long after, we were talking about how we hope it don't get violent. So nothing violent happened there, but I mean he was still getting wild, with police. That could end in any kind of way. And so with this bit of shenanigans, very poor taste. It would have sucked had he allegedly not shown the child. Now he really did that. Some wild stuff. But I don't
Yeah.
put anything past him. And that's kind of a thing of why would she make that up? There's a lot of
Right.
things to, but no, that sounds like something he would do. But I'll reserve judgment for that. But still, I still think that this man, he needs to be in a straitjacket. He needs to be away from society before he hurts somebody or hurts himself. And he's not stopping. And I think that the world's watching him until he spins out and crashes. And each and every new scandal is getting more, the road is getting more slick the more he's speeding down this highway of, of ridiculous behavior. So, the initial thoughts there. How do you feel about Mr. Antonio Brown's shenanigans, bro? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, he's a locomotive that can't be stopped. Yeah, but what's the name of that movie? It's a Denzel movie with Chris Pine, where they on. I think it's called. I think the name of the movie is Unstoppable. It's a train. It's their train conductors, and Denzel is like training Chris Pine to be the next conductor, and something happens, and they can't stop
Oh
the
yeah,
train.
yeah,
It's a yeah no yeah Antonio Brown at this point has become a speeding locomotive that cannot
yeah.
be stopped. Um, the last video that we did talking about him, I think I called him a menace. I think he's become a public menace. Unfortunately, it gives me no pleasure in saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, like, to somewhat tie this to our previous conversation, where I brought up the notion of men and women living different realities. Antonio Brown reminds me of the types of things that cause women to react in particular ways. So when I was younger and I was, getting, and my nuts was dropping and I was getting more confident trying to talk to women and stuff like that, particularly in the, college days, undergrad days, even grad school days, when I was going out and stuff and I was trying to, get women and all of that kind of stuff. The one thing that I struggled with the longest time in terms of how do I understand how to, get around this thing is the women who do things mechanically, but they're not actually interested in you. So every guy in the world has experienced this, where you'll meet a woman and she'll seem like she was interested, and you got her contact information, and then you basically never heard from her again. She wasn't responsive. And basically, you had to chalk that up to, oh, she ain't actually really interested. And me being somebody who's always trying to troubleshoot and problem solve instead of just moving on, whenever stuff like that would happen, I would spend inordinate I would spend inordinate amounts of time trying to, you know, decipher that particular code. Why did she give me her number if she wasn't interested? She should have just not given it to me if she wasn't interested. I would respect a woman more if she told me, it was nice to meet you, but I'm not interested. And I never could, for the life of me, understand why do women do this type of stuff where they'll give numbers out or they'll engage guys in conversation, but then when you try to text them or call them, they're being really short or they're never picking the phone up. And if you ever try to get them out, you ask to hang out with them or something, they always decline or come up with reasons or excuses for why they can't hang out. Okay, well, she's not really interested. Why does she pretend to be interested in the first place? And because I had a difficult time deciphering that code, I would in turn internalize it and take it personally. I would always say to myself, "Oh, I must have did something wrong. There must have been something that I screwed up. She wasn't interested in me because of something that I did to screw it up." But what I had to understand, and I only understood this because I started to actually have conversations in the daytime with women, is I had to understand that men and women live different realities. And now I'll never be able to empathize with this because I'm not a female. But a lot of women who I've talked to, women who I'm friends with personally, who I know, women in my own family. So I'm not just talking to random chicks in clubs, right? These ain't the thoughts that we just kind of talked about in the last topic. These are actual real women who go out in the daytime, right? So I'm not talking about Instagram models or OnlyFans chicks or Insta thoughts or porn stars or strippers. I'm talking about actual women, real women. And these real women would tell me, like, you know, this is the reality that we live. Like, guys go crazy, like they go psycho. It's very often that if you don't give a guy your number, you don't know how he's going to react. You don't know what he's going to do or say. Hell, even when you give a guy your number, if you decline his invitation to hang out, or if you let him know that you're not interested, he might do crazy stuff. He might send you crazy texts. He might do crazy things. Now you're looking at filing restraining orders or blocking the guy. These are things that these women live with on a day-to-day basis all the time. I'll never be able to understand what that's like because I'm a man and I don't live that reality. But for a lot of women, this is the reality that they live on a very regular basis. And so women do the mechanical thing where they give their number out and they pretend to be interested in a guy, knowing that they're not, and oftentimes because they don't know that if they choose not to do that, if they're running into an Antonio Brown like guy who's going to do crazy stuff, like post crazy pics or send them weird stuff, or if they happen to follow them on social media, post, crazy posts and include them somehow, some way in any kind of disparaging or way that they don't want to be presented in a public light. The point that I'm trying to make is for a lot of women, and trust me, I am no woman apologist. I'm the last guy who's going to make apologies for women. I don't make apologies for women. I just am a champion for common sense. And what a lot of women in the daytime help me to understand is that when women do that, they're not necessarily doing it because of me per se. So I shouldn't take it personally. They're doing these things because they don't know whether I'm an Antonio Brown type guy or not. And so they have to kind of put their defense mechanisms up and guard against the possibility that I am by mechanically giving me their number even though they're not interested. So to me, the menace that Antonio Brown has become is representative of an issue in which there's a lot of creeps out here and a lot of guys who do crazy stuff. And these guys are messing it up for principled individuals such as myself who are just trying to meet women on some neutral whatever stuff. But I now have to combat the individuals like Antonio Brown who, if things go south with any particular woman, run the risk of that guy posting a pic of a chick giving him head on a social media platform in which he has millions of followers. And a woman doesn't have the ability to discern one guy from the next. uh, a lot of guys represent themselves well initially, only to go psycho somewhere down the road because some sort of thing with a woman didn't work out in the way that they want. So that's pretty much all I got on that. Unfortunately, AB has become a menace, as I said before, and he does crazy stuff like this more and more on a regular basis. Probably does need to be fitted for a straight jacket. And again, it gives me no pleasure in saying that. But I do think that he is representative of a larger issue where, men and women have just become a bit frayed in terms of the interaction between men and women. And again, I'm not blaming women. They have a lot to answer for in this particular dynamic. They have a lot to answer for, trust me. So I'm not trying to excuse them or paint them as the victim because in many ways, women are the perpetrator. But in other ways, it's people like Antonio Brown who make it bad for people like myself, probably people like you as well, and just kind of make this whole situation even more tenuous than it already is when it comes to how dysfunctional men and women have become towards one another. And the more guys who, we sweep off the streets and give them help, the better off we'll be. AB definitely needs some help. He's definitely surrounded by yes people, as we've talked about on previous issues when we brought up Antonio Brown, and he in all likelihood continues to be. But I do think that he is a signifier for that type of situation that happens to enough balanced women on a regular enough basis. Now, if you're a lady of the night and you are one of these chicks, you're a thought, and you out in the streets and you for the streets, and this type of stuff happens to you, you get what you deserve. But there's enough regular women in the world to whom this happens to that, it stands to reason that, we need to kind of get guys like Antonio Brown off the streets. And there's a lot of those guys running around out here running roughshod.
Well, there's a lot of immature people out there emotionally, and male and female. And so, but for in Antonio Brown's context, I'm sure, right, red flags were given long before, a child was born. And so this man displayed, there's an analogy I use for a coworker of mine, and she was looking for somebody to deal with or whatever. And I'm like, hey, well, would you be comfortable, with a Prius man? Would you be comfortable with a Prius man? Or what are you, mid-size sedan? Or are you luxury vehicle? What do you want? Sports car? What are we doing? And then so as the conversation went on, of course she wanted a luxury vehicle. I'm like, well, I don't really see that. All right. And I said, what's wrong with the Prius man? Is it too safe? Is it too boring? So when Mr. Antonio Brown pulls up with his sports car lifestyle, and he's given all kinds of red flags, and she chose to ignore it because she wants a lifestyle and a baby from a ball player, she'll look past all of that. And then she deals with an Antonio Brown. And I hear what you're saying about girls from the street because they do have to screen. If you want to tie it to the analogy I used earlier, all right, of a woman just spreading her legs, she's going to get all kinds of applicants. So she has to screen to see, all right, I'm not going to let everybody smash. All right. So they do have to have a screening process, unlike men, because men don't have to have a screening process unless you're pulling in luxury lifestyles. So, so for a woman who is just dealing with a regular everyday guy, but she can't tell if this is a sports car man, lifestyle, or a Prius man, she can tell. It's just that Prius man and standard sedan is too boring. It's too basic. And when they have a black car, they'll swipe on the sports or luxury vehicle. Yes, your hair's in the wind. Yeah, you're flying down the street. This is great. You're going 80. It feels like you're going 20. But what happens with that lifestyle? And the moral of this is that because there's guys who make revenge porn or post revenge porn, and this is in that ballpark. It's just that Antonio Brown has millions of followers, and so yeah. But this type of behavior goes from an Antonio Brown to a regular old dusty dude.
Mm.
And so the question remains is, are you really going to start vetting these people the right way? Or do you want to get away with stuff and live a lifestyle? And you have to make a choice. And if you want to live exciting and fun and extra in this, that's what kids say. Kids want excitement and fun and pleasure. When I hear a woman say that, I say when we want a relationship and they say, I want to have fun. I want to explore. I want to travel. I want to do this. I want to do that. Main emphasis is fun.
Yeah. A life
Yeah,
without responsibility.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's unrealistic for adults.
Hmm.
That's no different than candy, pizza, ice cream. when you ask a kid what they want to eat. Of course, you want to have fun, but life ain't fun. It's work. So you have to make sure that whoever you're dealing with, that you're vetting them out the right way, and then cutting through the BS. And then so when they give you these BS background stories or these BS relationship stories, there's one common denominator in all of this person's stories, and it's them. And they're never wrong. That's a red flag. So I think people really need to just take a step back, um, and judge more harshly. And I think we've been trained to always give the benefit of the doubt, um, to somebody who has a track record. And Antonio Brown has one of the longest track records of any professional athlete out there. And people still bother to get close to him. And, at this point, it's on them. But
Yeah.
if like when we talked about the Tom Brady thing, he did that to Tom Brady, the man in the NFL who stood up for him. He did that. Now the mother of his own kids, he doing that. Even though they may not have the best of relationships, but look at what you're doing to your kid, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't take things in consideration. He only does. He just does. And people that do stuff like that are dangerous people. So, uh, you know, this beginning of 2023, we'll see how many other faux pas he has before this year is over. And like
Yeah.
you say, it's not like I like to say that, but what other choice do we have when this is his baseline behavior? So,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. AB's a menace, man. He's a menace. And yeah, women's propensity for swiping their black card doesn't help the situation.
No,
Just like just like just like men's slaves to vagina doesn't help the
same thing.
situation in reverse
Yeah.
when women can do whatever they want. It's opposite sides of the same coin.
Yep.
So like you want women to be more respectful towards you and to be less inclined to emotionally abuse you on purpose. Maybe don't bend the knee to them whenever you realize that they have toxic tendencies. And if you want guys to not be a psycho, maybe not bend the knee whenever you see a guy who can give you the lifestyle that you want, even though you know that there's all kinds of problems going on.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, it's the same exact thing. It's just, it's opposite sides of the same coin.
Yep.
And just like, women who are emotionally abusive towards men on purpose, they never have to be held to account for it because their behavior is rewarded because there's always the next guy who's willing to take her up on her offer. Antonio Brown's behavior is going to persist because there's always going to be the next thought who wants to get with him because he's Antonio Brown. And I don't know his baby's mother.
Right.
And I'm not going to do no background research on her. So I'm not going to sit up here and make it seem as though I know she's a thought. I don't know her. I
Right.
don't know her. But in and of itself, Antonio Brown's behavior will persist because he'll be able to swipe his money black card, his
Right.
lifestyle black card,
Right.
and the next thought will step up to the plate. And then when that situation self destructs, all of a sudden AB is going to look like the bad guy again. And it's like y'all women need to be held accountable for making better choices. So it goes both ways. But yeah, I agree. I'm not making apologies either one way or the other. But we all live different realities. And I think, respectively, men and women need to understand the importance of being confident enough to walk a more principled life in whatever way that means, principled, because that means different things between men and women. So what principle means for a dude, do that, bro. And what principle means for y'all women out there, do that. Because all of that fun and responsibility free lifestyle that y'all want to be able to live by getting with these ballers so badly, um, a lot of that stuff is going to seem at the end of the day like it wasn't worth it when you're getting nudes posted of you on social media and all of that kind of crazy stuff that these dudes is out here doing. It's just, well, I don't know, maybe for some of y'all it is worth it because y'all so messed up in the head. I don't know, but make better choices, I guess, is the theme for this video tonight.
And that's a wild superpower, bro. To have a black card like that, like ladies having a black card between their legs like that, and just going through life, just knowing you got the power to basically sleep with anybody you want.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
why. And but the crazy part is that there's a disconnect in, just because they think or know they can sleep with a certain caliber of man, they think that that means that that's her ticket out,
right, yeah.
and it's not. And there's a lot of women who have this unlimited card. Hey, I can swipe, I swipe, and they're all hollering at the same, you know, 10 guys. Oh
Hmm.
yeah, I can swipe. And so, and if she looks at you, because those guys have black cards, and if she looks at you and you got some Capital One, silver, whatever,
Yeah.
they'll be like, "What is this?" And you're like, "So, I was thinking you should clean the kitchen." Clean what
What?
kitchen? Yeah, with your Capital One silver, bro. Please, I'm going out with my girlfriends. All right, because there's some guy that's got bottle service, and he swiped the black card tonight.
Man,
So
ironically, the ironic thing is the guys with the black cars don't even ask them to clean up, so they never have to clean up anyway. It doesn't even matter whether they it don't even matter whether they're dealing with black card or not. They're not required to do it. They're just required to show up.
yeah, yeah, that's another thing too, man. But yeah, people want to talk about dusty men. Some dusty ladies out there. Just because you got perfume on, you smell good, and you got lashes on, don't mean you ain't dusty. That's just dusty behavior. And dusty behavior is being a groupie and just being one of many, just so you can have a stab at whatever man. That's very delusional. Especially if you don't want to share. But yeah, man, this is people gotta wake up, man. Smell the roasted beans. Some what do you call it? Folgers. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, wake up, y'all.
Yeah,
Jeez.
wake up for real. Wake up, man. And good. I hope Antonio Brown, tightens up at some point, for his sake. I really do. Because man, it's just this I don't care thing is just it's become beyond the pale, even by his standards.
I gave up,
Uh,
man.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. But either way, um, AB has reared his head on this channel once again, and as the last time, we certainly appreciate you, AB.
Yeah, AB, if you or one of your people from your camp have any issues with some of the stuff we discuss here, just holler at us here at the Conscious Approach. I think an Antonio Brown interview here would be very entertaining.
That
So
would be wonderful. Yeah, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that all day. Yeah, I think we'll happily take that.
an exclusive scoop.
Yeah, for real. The first ever Conscious Approach exclusive right here on YouTube. But yeah, good luck, AB man. That's foul stuff, but you're also on brand, and
Yeah, that is on
they
brand.
they say that that's a good thing to do as well, right? Be on brand.
Hey, bro, stick to it.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so next up.